The new Torchlight Infinite season brings many challenges as you explore Mistville, challenge the new and extremely deadly rare monsters, and then get to know those activation mediums. And to do all of this, you'll need a build. So today I'm going to recommend 5 starter builds for the Torchlight Infinite Whispering Mist season. Hopefully you can use this list to help narrow down your season starter, and goodness knows I need a list like this because I still haven't decided mine. So if you want to see what I end up starting, then do be sure to get subscribed. Also, if you're looking for something fun to play until the season actually launches, then maybe check out my video on why Brotato is one of the most awesome games I've played in a very long time. And so for now, let's get into things, starting with build recommendation number 1, Rehan Train. Yep. If this wasn't number 1, I'm pretty sure it'd be a riot down in the comment section. Nope, I see you there. No rioting in the comment section. I put this one first for a reason. This is some of Milky's footage from a day 2 version a couple seasons back. And yes, the Rehan Train is still going strong. Rehan Anger is a free-to-play character, so even if you're completely new to the game, you can jump in and get started immediately. You turn on Savage Charge of Auto Guide and blast through the Nether Realm. Because most of your damage comes from Burst, it's pretty easy to scale. And because most of your damage comes from Burst, you'll have to learn cooldown math. Good luck with that one. While some of the character building can be confusing, Milky has a lot of excellent resources over on his channel, which I'll link down below. If you like the melee playstyle or simply prefer channeling builds that do most of your damage automatically, then this is absolutely a must play. On the other hand, if you like attackers, this is going to give you a very good experience. It's one of the 2 attack builds on this list. Don't worry, I have attacker, spellcaster, damage over time, minion, a little something for everyone. I recommend this build both to new players and veterans looking to go fast. If you want to clear the Nether Realm, get on the Rehan hype train. But that's enough about Rehan Train, since out of all the builds, it's probably the one you know the most about. Option number 2 is Spellburst, as demonstrated here by Palstron on Youga Illusion, another free-to-play character, though you can also do it on Thea Wisdom of the Gods and Gemma Frostbitten Heart, among many more. My own personal favorite here is probably going to be Gemma Frostbitten Heart, because I find that character to be super satisfying to play, freezing the entire screen. I had a blast with it last season, and I look forward to playing more Frostbitten Heart builds in the future. So, Spellburst is extremely accessible to any hero who can use spells in the early game, usually around level 12. You take Goddess of Knowledge, and you're pretty much good to go, then you get Magister, and it's even better. Skills triggered by Spellburst auto-target, giving you absurd clear during the campaign and into the Nether Realm. If you're playing Youga, you get even more absurd clear because your clone is also auto-targeting and auto-casting, so your main job is moving. Noticing a theme here? That's right. Many of these builds really just focus on you as the player moving around. Now, technically, when it comes to Spellburst, there's a lot of different spells you can use, but Ring of Ice stands head and shoulders above the rest for 2 reasons. Reason number 1, cold damage is super OP because it can freeze stuff and frozen enemies don't get to fight back. Okay, I guess bosses technically do, but they're still a lot easier to deal with. You also get the Frigid Domain aura, which is far easier to scale than many of the other auras in the game. And among the cold skills, Ring of Ice is your skill of choice because it does a nice big AoE and triggers additional AoEs as you kill enemies, so your clear is even better. There's a pretty good chance that I start Ring of Ice on either Frostbitten Heart or Youga Illusion. Third up, we have my favorite minion build, Moto Charge Calling, because exploding minions are awesome. And they even appeal to players who normally don't like minions because minion mechanics get annoying. Don't worry, no annoyance here, just explosions. Now, because the minions do a lot of damage, that leaves you with plenty of room to focus on defenses. Though I will warn you, in comparison to a lot of the other characters here, your movement speed is going to feel lackluster. You're going to have to put way more effort into going fast with something like Hands of a Mage Assistant. But the big upside of Moto Charge Calling is you get automation, even without an activation medium. As you summon your minions, they automatically explode. So you can blow up any of your mechanical troops. That means summon Grim Phantom, summon Machine Guard, and summon Spider Tank. The most common build variants that I've seen are either pure Spider Tanks for damage, pure Grim Phantoms for quality of life, or a Spider Tank Grim Phantom hybrid that kind of gets the best of both worlds. All of these have different levels of automation, and yes, you can expand on the automation later, but in short, your minions are going to be triggering regardless, so a lot of your damage, especially when clearing trivial content, is going to be passive. And because Charge Calling does considerable single target damage, that also makes him an excellent choice if you want to farm some bosses. Though in word of warning, I have heard some people say there's quite a bit of lag when playing Charge Calling. Personally, I haven't had too many issues with it. It's just something to be aware of depending on your specs and whether you're playing on a phone or a computer. Then for number 4, my starter from last season, Rosa Groundshaker. That was one of the easiest early game leveling experiences that I had in a long time, and definitely a great experience for an attack build. Typically, attack builds are a little rougher than spellcasters. Groundshaker hits hard with the aftershock, so you smack the ground and move on. And scaling Pure Fizz makes damage really easy. Rosa herself has a lot of innate defense built into her hero trait, which means you get both easy damage and easy defensive scaling, kind of everything in one package. And her 6-piece is particularly powerful, making the build even better. The thing that I like about this is if I'm going to be playing a melee character, I do not want to be playing a glass cannon. I don't want to be falling over dead every 5 seconds. I'm going to play something that's tanky and get into the enemy's faces, or in the case of Rosa, force the enemies into my face so that I can smack them better. I had quite a bit of fun with Groundshaker, and it's quite fast due to the fact that you just smack, move on, smack, move on. Oh, and sometimes double back for loot because interesting things do drop behind you. Another nice thing about this build is you can take it all the way into endgame with minimal changes. In fact, that's exactly what Milky did last season. Now, it probably isn't the best candidate for that. I would recommend either Train or the upcoming Mind Control Elapse build. You can absolutely do it if you're enjoying the playstyle. I do definitely like having builds that you don't have to reroll off of at level 80, but instead you can keep scaling them. So that was something that attracted me to this, and I had a really good time. I'll make sure to link my video down below so you can see what I did last season and kind of adjust things here and there. Honestly, not all that much has changed. The big thing is you'll have to use activation mediums instead of rhythm support. So your extra skills won't be automated quite as early on, they will still get automated in the long run. Then the last build that I want to talk about is the dot character, Mind Control Elapse, another auto guide channeling build, and one of the strongest options on this list surprisingly, but also a little bit confusing since you have to learn dot mechanics and deal with reap and reap purification. Basically, you deal skill dot to everything around you, run through maps with blurry steps, which makes you quite quick, and then reap it for absolutely massive damage. This build also excels at going low life, even quite early on. So, going low life, you get to reserve additional auras on your life, so you get to put extra supports on for even more aura effect. And you do this to gain additional damage. Mind Control Elapse really does feel like a true racing build. Unfortunately, it's the only one that I've never played a version of on this list, so I don't have too much personal experience with it. However, Extra swears by it, and I very much trust Extra's opinion. Also, our Youga Elapse, a leveling guide on Maxroll, was recently revamped to be a mind control guide. So if you're having a burning itch to play this after seeing some of the gameplay, you can head over to Maxroll and do so. In fact, you can head over to Maxroll and play all of the builds that I just talked about, because we have leveling versions for all of them. In the past, Elapse has struggled a bit with single target damage, especially against mobile enemies, because so much of his damage was tied into his hero trait, which was gated by energy regeneration. But now, we've actually got a lot of extra energy regeneration compared to builds in the past. Recent leagues have seen more and more buffs for Elapse. This is preseason footage that you're seeing on screen, so before the nerf to mind control and also all the new buffs to Elapse, he probably ends up coming out a little bit ahead due to the higher quality of life, but at worst breaks even. So if you're worried about this build feeling nerfed, don't worry, it's still an incredibly strong option and you'll have a good time with it, at least if you like the channeling and dot playstyles. And if you're thinking, well, I don't know what I'm going to transition to in the endgame, we recently released our Torchlight Infinite Maxroll build database, where our team and members of a community can share their builds. You can go find pretty much whatever you want there. And it's only going to get better from here as more people use it and more people add their own builds. Also, if you want to catch up on everything coming in the Whispering Mist season, then I'll link to some highlights up in the card and down below. With that said, I'd like to take a minute to thank my patrons and channel members for the continued support. For as low as $1 a month, you can make sure there's league start videos just like this for next season. Link to support is down below. Also thanks to everyone who watched to the end, or more likely skipped to a build that looked more interesting to them and ended up here. I'm glad you enjoyed the video. Do remember to leave a like to give the algorithm those happy signals. With that said, good luck on your season start, and I'll see you in the next one.